I've been driving this 2024 Cadillac XT4 Sport for about a week now, and it's made me realize that GM really dropped the ball on what could have been pole position for hybrid technology. It's a real missed opportunity when you consider that they put all of their eggs into the EV basket, but nearly 2 decades ago, they were a leader in hybrid technology. Yeah, but most didn't know that GM had a hybrid vehicle back in 2004. Even I didn't know that. It wasn't until I started researching this, but they launched the Silverado, what they call the parallel hybrid truck. Now, it actually was more of a mild hybrid truck as we see them today. It had a hybrid system, but really all that vehicle did, all that hybrid engine did, was work on the starting, the cranking power, charging the battery, and running the accessories. But still, back in 2004, hybrids were pretty uncommon, and the fact that GM was already experimenting it showed that they were starting to look at what the future could hold for electrifying their vehicles. And I know that the GM EV1 came out just before that as well, but we're talking specifically about the hybrid technology that GM was developing at the time, not their first electric vehicles. So fast forward to 2009, GM launched the Silverado, Tahoe, Yukon, and Escalades with proper 2-mode hybrids. Those used a 6-liter V8 hybrid engine producing about 380 horsepower. However, GM gave up on them after 4 short years. 2013, there were no more. Now, 1 year after the Tahoe and Yukon and Escalade launched, the Chevrolet Volt hit the market. That was a game changer. That was the first true extended range plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. GM was offering that with about, 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers almost of full electric driving with a gas generator to keep you going for longer distances. Even by the end of the decade, other vehicle brands still hadn't caught up to the overall range of that vehicle. But now, more specific to our Cadillac, that also brought out the Cadillac ELR, built on the same platform. Now, it sold less than 3,000 models over the 2 years that it was produced. But it really should have given GM the framework to build a better hybrid and plug-in hybrid platform using what they've learned with that car and adapting it with newer technology. Now we get into 2016. GM launched the Chevrolet Silverado with a mild hybrid EV system. It was actually a much better truck than the original back in 2004. And again, used sort of what a normal mild hybrid uses today. This is way before Ram's e-torque and things like that. But they sold so few that, again, you probably didn't even realize it existed. Around the same time, GM also launched the plug-in hybrid version of the Cadillac CT6, a vehicle that we drove as a regular ICE vehicle and absolutely loved it. The plug-in would have made it even better, but they only offered it for a couple of years here, and it's still available in China, but not a very big battery. At the same time as well, the Malibu was available as a hybrid. Again, another vehicle that I'm sure a lot of people didn't realize. But it's interesting, since the Cadillac ELR came and went, brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz had the chance to develop entirely new electric platforms, allowing them to use one platform to serve a mild hybrid vehicle, a plug-in hybrid vehicle, and a fully electric vehicle. And they've taken, 5-10 years of development and just gone way into the future with it. Whereas GM, they gave up, they stopped, they're focusing all on electrics, but they didn't do enough when it came to these plugins and the hybrids. And that's now why at the beginning of the year, they said that they're going to come out with more vehicles like this because they realized that the market has changed and they kind of missed the ball. And even if we look at the historical rival to Cadillac, the Lincoln brand, they were able to leverage Ford's electrified technology to a certain extent. As of a couple years ago at least, you could get half of the Lincoln models as a plug-in hybrid. However, the Aviator is no longer offered as a plug-in hybrid, but the brand new updated Nautilus does come as a regular hybrid. Which again begs the question, as I've been driving around in this Cadillac XT4, I just wonder how much better this car would have been as a plug-in hybrid. Now, a couple of you out there might be wondering why I've decided to pick on the Cadillac XT4. And I'm not picking on it, I just happen to be driving this vehicle and came to these conclusions. But yeah, this is an update for 2024, and it's an adequate update for the vehicle itself. We have the wide infotainment system here built in with the one bezel to have your infotainment and driver cluster and trip computer and everything. It's a nice update there, and the exterior's got a slight refresh. But again, I think that the direction Cadillac has just failed to go on is the electrification. I mean, what world would we be living in today had GM continued with their hybrid technology? That's essentially what I've been racking my brain around the entire week. Now obviously hindsight is 2020. We're looking back at decisions that GM corporate made a decade ago, and with today's understanding of how the industry has changed and how it hasn't changed. So we're looking at the past with a different set of lenses than were available at the time. But it just feels I'm wasting fuel driving around here in town. How much better my experience in this vehicle would have been had there been a plug-in hybrid option. I mean, it would be a game changer for Cadillac, even if they had taken the exact same power plant that was in the CT6, which was basically the same thing that was in the Volt, and just slapped it in here. That would be great. I mean, an 18 kilowatt hour battery gets you a decent amount of range, maybe 40, 50 kilometers. But that's the thing. Had GM continued to develop their technology over the 10 years, 20 years that they've been working on hybrids, then an 18 kilowatt hour battery would probably be a 30 kilowatt hour battery, just like we've seen BMW do. They've increased their battery sizes quite a bit in the years that we've covered their plug-in vehicles from essentially, 2020 to 2024. And what really surprises me is a brand like Range Rover was able to take their first generation plug-in hybrid Range Rover in 2018 and almost double the range by 2024. I mean, that is an extreme update for really not that much amount of time. And again, Range Rover, that's not a brand that I consider when I think about electric vehicles. Yes, the Jaguar I-Pace has been out for a little while now, so they've had some experience with electrics, but plug-ins, I mean, it took them 6 years to now have a vehicle that does almost 100 kilometers of EV driving. Now, it's double the size of this, but the technology was exponentially better with that generational update. And the same could have been true for GM. So as I mentioned outside, GM at the beginning of this year, Mary Barra said that they're going to start offering plug-in hybrid vehicles. They are listening to consumers. Maybe the Equinox is going to be the first vehicle to come out with a plug-in hybrid, but I really think that the Cadillac brand should have been the forefront. Yeah, they've got the Lyric, and they're coming out with the Escalade IQ and the Celestiq and these high-end, top-range, crazy electric vehicles. But, when I drive by the GM dealerships here, I see Hummer EVs sitting on the lots. I see Cadillac Lyrics sitting on the lots, and they're great vehicles, at least the Lyric is. But people just aren't buying them because we're, even though EVs are still selling well, we need that stepping stone. And that's where GM really dropped the ball. I mean, that's the big missed opportunity. I keep coming back to it every time I start this vehicle up. Is just how much better it would have been with the front wheels connected to the motor and then the rear wheel battery operated, just like we've seen recently with vehicles like Volvo, have a 30 kilowatt, 25 kilowatt hour battery, whatever they could have developed. The number of reasons why this would have been so much better as a plug-in are endless. I mean, it's just baffling to me how a company as big as GM and a company that had so much experience as GM did could have dropped the ball. I mean, who takes the technology and says, nah, we're done with it. We're not going to bother with hybrids. The future is fully electric. Again, I know we're looking back at that decision, but even in 2018 when I was reviewing cars, I was saying plug-in hybrids are the best mix between a gas and an electric vehicle, and that's the direction the market should be going in. And here we are 6 years later, and brands like Kia and Hyundai, they did that. That's why they're so far advanced when it comes to even regular hybrid technologies. We were surprised by their just normal hybrid engine, how efficient that vehicle, that engine can be. GM had that opportunity. GM had that opportunity 20 years ago to keep developing that tech. And it just makes me think, where we would have been today with their vehicles had GM continued to develop their regular hybrids and plug-in hybrids. So I'll leave you with one last tidbit. We completed our 100-kilometer test loop with this vehicle in two-wheel drive mode in 7.3 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not too bad. The drive modes here, you can go between two-wheel and all-wheel drive, as well as sport. And that's one of the real differentiators that GM has as a brand, is because you can actually disconnect the rear wheels. It's not just not sending power there, it disconnects the drivetrain as well, the drive shaft. So you have less drag on your engine, meaning you're getting slightly better fuel efficiency. You know, again, imagine if GM did what other brands have been doing and just eliminate that whole set of mechanics and put an electric battery and put an electric motor in the back. So let me know in the comments. You know, we like to get back to everybody as we always do, but I want to know, am I on the mark when it comes to this? Do you agree with what I'm saying here? Not only with GM, but in general, is that the direction that the industry should have been focusing in? More hybrids, more plug-in hybrids. Is that the future? Let me know in the comments below. We do try to get back to everybody as quickly as we can. Let us know what you thought about this vehicle as well. And if you want to know everything there is to know about the Cadillac XT4 for 2024, then you got to check out James's video. That's pretty much the reason why we did this, because it's the same. I got the same spec and everything that James just featured not long ago. So he did a very thorough review. You can check that out. It will be linked in the top right corner, as well as at the end of the video, so you can check that out. Let us know, are we on the mark here? Are you a subscriber to the channel? If you're saying no, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us. I know everybody says it, but it really does help. So you got to do that. Got to click the notifications, got to like the video, and if you share it online too, it helps us as well. Just appreciate you watching, and until next time, take care.